We all had a time where we were sitting down by the TV, enjoying our favorite show, but then it's suddenly interrupted. Interrupted by something nobody asked for. Commercial. Commercials have always been the worst part about watching TV. We either see products we don't want to buy, people we don't want to see, or shows we don't care about. But every once in a while, you'll come across that commercial that sticks with you. A commercial that years from now, you'll look back and think, that commercial was actually fun. And a company that has consistently done this is the WWE. And I'm not talking about those commercials of today where it's just WWE superstars doing Cricket Wireless commercials. Who even has Cricket Wireless? I've never met a single person who has Cricket service. But the ones I'm talking about are the ones of old. The ones where it felt like actual thought was put into them, like the 2006 SummerSlam commercial. So it starts off with the WWE at this house having a barbecue. It cuts to Shawn Michaels, who gives Lita this giant piece of sausage. It was longer than the actual plate. And the craziest thing about it was that there was no bun on the plate. It was just the sausage. Then DX then realizes that there was only one hot dog left on the plate. And Kane and Viscera, who had all the pool toys despite not being anywhere near the pool, their spidey senses kick in and they run through everybody, only to run into Jonathan Coachman, who was eating the last hot dog. They were mad, so they just threw him in the pool. This commercial, in my opinion, was one of the best commercials that WWE made. And besides being crushed between two big sweaty men, this actually looked like it would be fun. Another commercial that was nostalgic was the Kmart Randy Orton one, where he was sitting on the table posing as an action figure. I remember seeing this commercial a lot as a kid, but what I didn't realize till now was how bad the dad got disrespected. So it starts off with the parents walking toward the table, but the dad soon realizes there's a grown man in wrestling trunks and boots sitting on top of the table that he paid for. But then he quickly realizes it's Randy Orton, and his wife calls Randy Orton cute right in front of him. He then tries to check for a kung fu grip, but then Randy again smacks him right in the face in his own house. And to make it even worse, his wife was laughing at him. He can't come back for this. He should just run away and start a new family. Another commercial where a man gets disrespected in front of his woman was the RVD 7-Eleven commercial. Always wanted one of these collector cups, but there wasn't a 7-Eleven near me at all. They were always in the hood or in the middle of nowhere. And it's sad because the commercials made the Slurpees look good. So in the commercials, there would always be this one guy who would pull up to the Slurpee machine and do the regular routine, but then a WWE superstar pops out and gives them a cup or a straw with their face on it. But specifically in the old one, RVD, who is probably high, would pull up on a guy and his girlfriend and give him one of the cups while he was stealing the guy's girlfriend. How do you get your girlfriend stolen by a grown man in a singlet with a ponytail at 7-Eleven is beyond me. There was also the time where WWE had this commercial where it was a low-key throwback to the old style of commercials, and it was the one where they were in a big office and there was a big mix-up when Raw started, because starting July 23rd, Raw started at 8. It starts off with Cena getting the message from Vince to tell all the boys Raw starts at 8, but then it gets lost in translation. They told Kane he had to bake a cake. They called R-Truth a cheapskate, and that Big Show had to lose weight. Sheamus and Kofi were drinking coffee in the break room. AJ was drinking water, and CM Punk thought he had to go to Kuwait. But at the end of it, Triple H and the Great Khali were going to Vince's office to give him a prostate exam. And the look on his face when they say that is understandable, because a prostate exam by itself already a miserable time. But imagine getting one from the Great Khali's hand, a hand that big. Eesh. John Cena also did those Gillette Fusion commercials. There was that one he did with Vince McMahon where he ended up hitting Vince with a steel chair, and another where he was busting out of bathroom stalls on unsuspecting men, asking them to do the Pro Glide Challenge. Now, under normal circumstances, if I was using the toilet after eating something like Popeyes or Taco Bell, the last thing I want is a big man in a bright orange shirt telling me to shave facial hair that I don't think none of them even had. But because it was John Cena, it was supposedly alright. These commercials came on when I was a kid, and I don't even think I knew what shaving was. But because John Cena was in it, I liked it. There was that weird Royal Rumble commercial where Vince was having a dream that the Raw and SmackDown roster were having a West Side Story battle. It was a cool callback to a classic movie, and I'm sure everyone who was in it had fun, especially Kurt Angle, who got to relive how it felt to have hair on his head again. The next commercial is not too nostalgic, but the commercial was pretty good, and that's the 2K20 Ballroom Blitz. The commercial is a dinner party at a mansion and a whole bunch of superstars were there. There were current gen superstars, WWE legends, there were Easter eggs of superstars that were going to be in the game, and everyone was in a formal suit, even Stone Cold. It was a high quality commercial, but in regards to WWE 2K20, that's where the quality ends.
We are on day 3 of this year's 2K20 shoot. The theme this year is...
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
Because what is this? Oh! I'm fully convinced 2K spent more money on the commercial than the actual game itself. There were glitches everywhere. The matches were unplayable. Superstars were possessed. In fact, the superstars themselves were terrible. Half of them looked cross-eyed and the other half looked like they rode the short bus in high school. But you know what? I have to give 2K their props. They somehow managed to take a 5-year-old child's nightmare and put it in a wrestling video game. That takes skill. It really does. And whoever greenlit this game to be sold in stores needs to be tied up and forced to watch episodes of Raw from 2019. Because this is despicable. I remember when the Switch version of WWE 2K18 came out, and it was terrible. And I thought at the time, like, this has to be rock bottom. It can't possibly get any worse than this. But they proved me wrong. They really did worse than 2K18 on the Switch. I didn't even know that was possible, but they made it possible. Okay. I'm getting off track. Let's go back to talking about commercials. Back in 2000, Chris Jericho did this Taco Bell commercial where he was in a cardigan explaining if you donated $3.99, you could help hungry Canadians fight the munchies. Now, in hindsight, seeing Chris Jericho in a cardigan isn't too shocking or surprising, especially after he dropped the Y2J gimmick in 2008 and started wearing a suit and tie. But back in 2000, it probably looked pretty weird because Chris Jericho was doing the whole Rockstar Y2J gimmick, and seeing him on TV with a tie and a cardigan probably felt weird and different. So lastly, we're gonna go over one of WWE's best set of commercials, the WrestleMania 21 movie parodies. These commercials showed that any WWE superstar could have gone on to become a good actor. John Cena and JBL in A Few Good Men. I don't think there's anybody that can play a better bad guy on camera or in real life than JBL. Triple H and Ric Flair and Braveheart, Undertaker and Dirty Harry, Jericho, Benoit and Christian, Stacy Keibler and Basic Instinct, Stone Cold and Gladiator, and some of my favorites, Booker T and Eddie Guerrero in Pulp Fiction, the Are You Talking to Me? When Batista kept asking what the line is, and the Kurt Angle and Christy Hemme one, that was something. And the one with Eugene where he punched that woman in the mouth. I do not support violence on women, so